Hi everyone, it's CinemaBigWaves here, and in this episode we want to talk about the Lord of the Rings series, Rings of Power. To be more specific, the 5th episode. Before watching the rest of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get this going. At the very beginning, let's say that unlike the previous episode, we saw more of the Harfoots in this episode. It seems that their storyline is less important than the others, and nothing special happens in this storyline. Their importance is related to the mysterious man who came from the sky and is supposed to be a link between the Harfoots and the rest of the other storylines. Harfoot's migration sequence can be a confirmation that Harfoot's narrative has nothing to offer because it is more like a music video than a scene from a movie.
The sun is fast falling beneath trees of stone.
At the end of this short music video, we see the mysterious man staring at the moon. I think it is interesting to know that in Tolkien's world, there is a character named Tilion who's the guardian of the moon. Maybe this mysterious man is the same Tilion. Do you remember Adar? An elf who was the leader of the orcs, and the meaning of his name is literally father. Adar burns the hand of one of his sons in the light and talks to him about darkness. We can make two guesses. One is that this darkness is related to the geography of Mordor, which we know is the best place for orcs in the future because of the dark clouds above it. The second guess is that Sauron's main desire was to defeat the sun's power so that he could destroy the sun's light forever. There's a split between the southern humans, and half of them go after Valdrak to pledge alliance to Adar. In the book The Silmarillion, before the beginning of the second period, Morgoth divides the people into two groups. Half of the people are fooled by Morgoth, they hate the elves and stay with Morgoth forever, and half of them, seeing the glory and wisdom of the elves, envy them and become allies. Because of this, these two ties between people have very deep roots. In Numenor, everyone's getting ready to rally to Middle-earth. Some of the people of Numenor are against the Queen's decision to send troops to the Middle-earth, and Eren is one of them, who's caught in the middle of the ambush so that Kimin can convince his father Pharazôn not to send troops.
He will listen to you.
When I speak, his ears close up.
Do you also think that Kemen came from ancient Greece with this way of dressing and hairstyle, or is it just me? Well, let's get to Halbrand. Here I want to say a few things about the possibility of him being Sauron, and with what reasons can this possibility be rejected. When Halbrand tells Galadriel to find someone else for the kingdom of the Southlands, we are once again led to think that he is Sauron.
Find another head to crown.
After a few scenes, we get to Galadriel again, who wants to convince Halbrand to go with them to the southern lands. In that sequence, Halbrand talks about the past events and says that he was able to live a good life by betraying his people. Galadriel says, "What do you know about darkness?" Again, they lead us to say that maybe Halbrand is the same as Sauron. But pay attention to the fact that Halbrand eventually leaves Numenor with Galadriel and the Queen. And we can see that he shakes hands with Galadriel. And this shows that the alliance between Galadriel and Halbrand is shaped. So, here again, the possibility of him being Sauron is reduced, and in doubt of being Sauron or being like Aragorn, Halbrand is strongly driven towards being a reminiscent of Aragorn. In the storyline of the Harfoots, we see that those wolves that we saw a bit of in the first episode are attacking them here. The mysterious man makes the wolves run away with his magical power, and he's also injured. It seems that the writers want to show us that this person is going to make greater sacrifices for humans later. Note also that this man has a strange power, and Nuri tried to teach him kindness and goodness since he fell from the sky, and he's probably going to use this power in a good way.
I'm peril.
You're not a peril. You're good.
Those three strange people we saw, and we still don't know what race they are looking for the mysterious man. They probably want to use this power in the way of evil and filth. If you look at the back of their shield, you will see the same pattern of stars that the mysterious man drew. In Numenor, Galadriel is teaching the soldiers of Numenor to fight against orcs.
Stab, twist, gut.
This fight is a reminiscent of one point that men learned their skills in fighting from the elves at first, but with the gap that is created between them, men were left behind in the skill of fighting compared to the elves. Kemen goes to his father at the urging of Irin and realizes that Pharazôn has plans for the future and wants to use the opportunity in the best way to colonize the Southlands. Apparently, the elves are not going to go as fast as we said, because Pharazôn also wants to go to the southern lands with the queen and wants to prove his power, so we probably won't see the destruction of Numenor anytime soon. Nuri goes to the mysterious man to help him heal, but she saw him freezing his hand, and then she gets worried. She feels fear and danger, and after she's thrown back and realizes that the mysterious man's power might hurt her. Did you also pay attention to the fact that this mysterious man came with a fire where he fell from the sky, and now in this sequence he healed his hand with ice? Ice and fire in Tolkien's world are evil forces, so this creature may be evil, but as we mentioned, Nuri's trying to guide him somehow. The next point is that in Tolkien's world, such supernatural powers are only reserved for Maiars, such as Gandalf, Sauron, or Saruman. Humans, elves, and dwarves do not have magical powers. Next, when we get to the scene where the kings of the elves and Durin are having dinner, we realize that the elves are building the furnaces themselves and the dwarves will probably help them forge the rings later, or that they're just looking for mithril ore that the dwarves discovered. Another point that may be interesting to you is what Iluvatar, the only god of Tolkien's world, says at the beginning of the creation of dwarves. Durin from the race of dwarves later becomes the greatest supporter of the elves, and we now see that Durin, even though his father may have agreed to give him the mithril, is not against the elves, but he wants to save their race. In this sequence, we hear an elven story from Gil-galad, and it's that the Silmar ore, which were lost after Morgoth's death, where an elf and a Balrog fight on two sides of it, and finally lightning strikes. The lightning will go to the root of the tree where it will turn into mithril ore. The tree symbolizes the immortality and vitality of the elves, its leaves and trunks are rotting, and Gil-galad, the king of the elves, believes that this blackness is the external appearance of the destruction of spirit of the elves. So, the elves must either go to Valinor, in which case humans will be alone and darkness will cover the entire world, or find a powerful element that will save them, which is the mithril. Next, when we go to the old watchtower, we see Theo, who shows the sign of Sauron to Arundir, and Arundir realizes that this key is somewhere.
It is a key, conjured by some forgotten craft of the enemy to enslave your ancestors.
Probably this is the key to the gates of Angband, the same underground realm of Morgoth, and probably Adar wants to find a power beyond Sauron by attaining Angband. Remember the previous episode when Adar told Arundir that I'm not God?
I am no god. Not yet.
And that he gets upset when Voldrak calls him Sauron. There is also a point in Galadriel and Halbrand's conversation that Galadriel is so overwhelmed by the feeling of revenge that she's willing to do anything to keep this feeling alive. This strong sense of revenge is the only dark spot in Galadriel's character. After Galadriel's words, Halbrand decides to accept responsibility for his past mistakes and face the fate that seems to be the kingdom of the South. By doing this, Halbrand takes the possibility of him being Sauron to almost zero. In the magnificent final sequence, we see Numenor, the soldiers rallying, and people throwing flowers at their feet. Are you not familiar with this scene? Yes, we've already seen this tradition of throwing flowers at the feet of soldiers in Lord of the Rings in Minas Tirith. And this shows that this tradition of the people of Numenor reached the people of Minas Tirith. Thanks for watching everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video if you liked it, and be safe.